my. Welcome back. We actually left off here yesterday. I totally looked at this and realized it was already 20 minutes in. It goes by fast, doesn't it? Maybe it's just me talking to myself. It goes by fast. Anyway, recap of yesterday. We made some notes, right? We looked at our central idea. How do we tell right from wrong in this article, right? And we summarized what his research was about, right? This Kohlberg guy researched these groups of boys, asking what decisions they would make, and then continue to interview them for the next 12 to 20 years, right? And then we had the scenario about this guy that stole this drug so that his wife could live, because the drug was $2,000. It only cost $200 to make, right? Like Robin Hood sort of thing. Anyway, so we left off right here. And remember, once again, our goal, and we're going to just put this right, we're continuing. As we're on day 3, we're continuing this. Hopefully we'll be able to finish this passage this week, today. We're determining the central idea of a text and analyzing how the central idea contributes to the text's overall message, which is what we're doing through annotating, right? It's very important, making those notes. And we'll be successful when we can apply what we know about strategies, right, to find the central idea of passages in the text in order to figure out what the main idea in the text, how we tell from right and wrong, is. So we're doing that right now. We're already in the process of doing it. So we're going to continue. So this Dr. Kohlberg guy, right? He was interviewing people, boys specifically, and he was trying to figure out what they would do. We're going to read a little bit more and see what happened. Kohlberg was less interested in whether the interview subject said yes or no to the question above than their reasoning behind the answer. The interviewer would ask new questions to better understand the subject's thinking. For example, the interviewer would ask if Hines had a right to steal the drug and what sentence the judge should give him once he was caught. Then the interviewer would give more scenarios to get a sense of how the subject generally decided between right and wrong. Kohlberg noticed that most of the interview subjects developed new ways of thinking about ethics over the years. As men, they made decisions very differently than they had as boys. Using this research, Kohlberg came up with a theory to describe the different ways that human beings make moral choices. His theory also describes how he believed our decision-making changes from childhood to adulthood. Kohlberg called this his theory of moral development. So we're getting more information here about what our central idea is from this. Now, before we continue, we're going to do this little thing right here, though. It tells us to make an annotation in paragraphs 4 and 5. What was Kohlberg most interested in finding out from his interview subject? So once again, we're going to pull something else out here, right? So as usual, we can go up to the highlight tool, or you could just highlight it. We'll just highlight the last sentence, boom. And then I can just click on the T for text. So what was Kohlberg most interested in finding out from his interview subjects? He wasn't interested in the right or wrong. He wasn't interested if they said yes or no. He was interested in why they said yes or no. So we could say Kohlberg, if I can spell that again, like coals. I don't know, I get my shirts from there. Kohlberg was more interested in why the boys chose their answers than what answer they chose. He cared more about their reasoning. There we go. That ought to be good, right? Once again, we take what this says, blah, 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 in 2 paragraphs and so many lines, 20 lines or whatever, and we distill it down into a few lines. With summarizing and finding the central idea, you want to look for the main thing here. It's asking you what the main thing is, right? And then we're proving that with pieces of evidence, right? So the main idea of this section is, what was Kohlberg most interested in finding out about? And we just proved he's most interested in finding out why the boys chose their answers than what answer they chose, right? Whether they chose yes or no. He cared more about the reasoning. So Kohlberg, when doing this experiment, cared more about why they picked what they picked and not caring about what they picked exactly. That's the central idea of this section right here, right? That's the main idea. We don't have to read the whole thing off like, we have to read it to figure that out, but like, if we're trying to tell someone, hey, just give me the main idea, but give me the central idea, give me the elevator pitch, right? We would use this. So, we're here on partner reading. I'll be real, I'll be honest, I'll be real honest. This article is, I believe, a 1060 Legzile level. Yeah, 1060. It said that here on mine. A lot of us are at about 700, 800. So this would be a little bit of a stretch for some of us to read, and that's okay. I'm going to read it with us. So I think we could do it in the time that we have. I think we could do it. So I'm going to read it with us. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at different stages, and we're gonna see what they mean, because they're kind of scientific. So here we go. This is the stages of moral development. So we were asking ourselves, what are his stages? Why do people do what they do? This is going to show us why they do what they do. So the stages of moral development. In his theory, Kohlberg identified 3 levels of moral reasoning, right? 3, which is the thinking process behind whether an idea is right or wrong. Here are the 3 levels. He calls them pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. A little bit of a side note here. Pre is a prefix for before. Post is a prefix for after. So whenever we put those on there, that just means before conventional, conventional, and after conventional. The more you know. Let's take a look at level 1, pre-conventional. Kohlberg found that very young children make moral decisions that depend on how their actions will be punished or rewarded. They tend to follow the rules that their parents and teachers make because they are thinking about getting something good or not getting in trouble. This level is the simplest way of thinking about right and wrong. It's made up of 2 stages. Before we get to those 2 stages, though, it's telling us to make an annotation in paragraph 7. What does a person at the pre-conventional level think is most important? So we'll just highlight this over. We'll just put a text there. This is the youngest level, right? The smallest level. This is where young children think, am I going to get punished or rewarded for my actions? So it's asking us, what does a person at the pre-conventional level think is most important? A person at the pre-conventional level only wonders if they'll get rewarded or punished for their actions. That's it, right? Am I gonna get a reward, or am I gonna get hit or punished or whatever, right? Am I going to get candy, or am I gonna get grounded, right? What's gonna happen to me if I do this thing? Am I gonna get a reward? Is someone gonna pay me $500, or are they gonna throw me in jail, right? That's the most basic level. This most basic level, pre-conventional level, has 2 stages, though. 2 stages. So here's stage 1, obedience and punishment. Stage 1 focuses on the child's desire to avoid punishments by obeying the rules. For example, they see an action as morally wrong because if the person who did it is punished, the harsher the punishment, the worse they think the action is. In the situation at the beginning of the article, Joe would display stage 1 thinking if he decided to tell the store owner about Kim's theft because he was afraid of getting punished if he didn't. So, if you ever do something and you're like, oh man, I don't want to get in trouble for this, and you do the right thing or whatever, you're at this stage. If you're worried about getting punished, then you're doing it, this. Here's stage 2. This is a stage up of this self-interest. In stage 2, a child asks, what's in it for me? The child defines right behavior as whatever is in their best interest. Any concern they show for others is not based on true loyalty or respect, but on if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours mentality. For example, if a parent asks a child to do a chore, the child may ask, what's in it for me? And the parents motivate the child by giving them an allowance. Now, Joe knows that Kim will share the candy bar with him, so if he's a stage 2 thinker in pre-conventional terms, he might decide that he'll benefit himself by not telling the store owner about the theft. A lot of us are here. A lot of us are here. A lot of us don't get out of this stage. What's in it for me, right? So we're going to make an annotation here. How do people at stage 1 think differently than people at stage 2? Once again, we can just take this right here, just highlight the first little bottom part, and then click on Add Annotation. So we're comparing stage 1 and stage 2. How is stage 1 different than stage 2? So we could say, in stage 1, people are worried about being punished. In stage 2, they're wondering what they can get for their behavior, right? Like what reward? Maybe I can put what reward, right? They're like, what's in it for me, right? If I do this for you, man, you owe me, right? In stage 1, they're just like, please don't hurt me. Don't beat me. So on that note, I'm going to check my time real quick here because we're level 2 conventional. I'm going to take a quick cut, just in case it goes out. So quick cut. Sorry about that. Quick cut. Wow. Sorry, that was a quick cut there. We are already 10 minutes in, according to this. As I said, my plan is to stick with 20 on this, no more than 20, because we have those journals we do in the beginning, and sometimes we discuss those. And then we have those 15 minutes of reading at the end, silent sustained reading. Then, like 5 minutes to pack things up. So really, we're working with like 20-minute segments here. It's like, wow. So we'll see if we get through this. We might even have to move this to day 3. Sorry for making some of us wait. But we're getting to some good stuff here. So, all right. So we talked about level 1, right? Pre-conventional, which is dealing with, am I going to get beat or am I going to get something out of this, right? Now let's take a look at level 2. This is level 2 here. Remember, there's 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Let's take a look at level 2. Maybe some of us are on level 2. When something is conventional, that means that most members of a community consider it acceptable or polite. People at the conventional level are motivated by society's rules and expectations. They continue to accept the rules of authority figures, but now believe that this will support positive relationships and order in society. Children and even adults at this level tend to follow rules without question. They rarely ask whether a rule is fair. So it's asking us to make an annotation here. What does a person at the conventional level think is most important? So what is the most important thing at this level? Well, we can highlight it right here. The most important thing, right? So the most important thing at a conventional level is it acceptable or polite, right? Is it, they don't ask if a rule is fair. Is it acceptable? Is it socially acceptable? The most important thing, oops, that's a big H. The most important thing at a conventional level is asking if the action is socially acceptable. So this is where we get to the Hunger Games here. Maybe some people are familiar with Hunger Games, maybe not. Hunger Games is what would happen if they took a bunch of kids and threw them into an arena or fight to the death, because that's what they do, right? This level would be, is it right to send kids into the arena and fight to the death? Probably wrong to do that, depending on how you feel. But in the Hunger Games, right, they think, oh, well, this is part of society. It's society's rules. It's just what everybody does. Yeah, right, woo! So it's okay. Some common thoughts might be drinking, right? In our society in America, if you're 21, you can, go out there and get drunk, I believe in California, you can purchase marijuana, right? You could get really messed up if you wanted to when you're 21 and older. Socially, that's acceptable, right? But is it right? Yeah. So a lot of people are stuck here too. Let's continue on. One other example I can think of this. At one point, and I'm totally like, this is a bad idea. At one point, slavery was legal in the United States, and in some places in the South, it was accepted, right? It was like, oh yeah, I've got, slavery, whatever, and that doesn't mean it was right? So conventional behavior, you gotta be careful. Let's take a look at the different stages. There's 2 stages of conventional behavior. Here's stage 3: good boy, nice girl. In stage 3, people want the approval of others and act in ways that will make others like them. They focus on good behavior and people being nice to others. Like most of us, Joe has been taught that nice kids tell the truth. So if he's at stage 3 of moral development, he will tell a store owner about Kim's theft in order to win the store owner's approval, right? Joe wants to just be loved. He's like, I just want the store owner to like me, right? So he's probably in stage 3. Stage 4 is a little bit more developed. In stage 4, people tend to accept rules and conventions because they are important in society. They see rules as being the same for everyone, and they think it's important and valuable to do what one is supposed to do. If someone breaks the law, perhaps everyone would break the law. So there's a duty to follow laws and rules. Most people remain at stage 4 their whole lives, basing their morality on standards set by others. Since stealing is against the law, stage 4 thinking would say that Joe must tell the store owner the truth about Kim's theft. So we're going to make an annotation here. How do people at stage 3 think differently than people at stage 4? We are doing a compare and contrast. We're going, how is stage 3 different than stage 4? We're going to make a little highlight at the bottom here. Boop. We're going to go to text, boop, and we're going to compare them. So in stage 3, people just want to be loved or accepted. They want to be accepted. Want to be accepted by doing what others think is right. Right? It's like peer pressure. Stage 4, people want to do what the law says. Otherwise, it would be chaos. Right? That's kind of a basic idea. So, like in stage 3, you're like, oh, I just want people to love me, right? Stage 4, it's like, hey, we do this because if everyone went around breaking the laws, then it'd be crazy. It'd be anarchy. There'd be, fire in the streets, right? It'd be something crazy like that. So that's kind of the idea behind that. I'm going to take a quick pause on this. Quick pause. Holy guacamole. We get through a lot. Or maybe not a lot. I don't know. We're already almost approaching the 20-minute mark, which is kind of crazy. So we're probably going to have to split this into multiple days. Wow. There's a lot to get out of this. Before we go on to level 3, though, let's do a little recap of what we learned so far. Just so that way we're staying on board, right? We've been making annotations as we go. These annotations are very helpful because you may be able to read through this entire thing and just, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, got it done. Yeah, answer the questions. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, there it is. All right, I'm good, right? That is possible. However, this is a more complicated text, right? This is a 1060 Luxile level. This is pretty rough, right? And it's worth noting that we want to put these notes and things down as we go. So these are all contributing to our central idea. One day, not to scare you, but one day you'll be in high school or college, right? And they will tell you, you've got to write a paper on whatever. And maybe they tell you, you got to write a paper on how to tell right from wrong from Kohlberg's Stages of Moral Development. And you're like, oh no, I have to write a paper on this. What am I going to do? Take good annotations. This is what they need you to do in high school, right? It's telling you what to do here, right? It won't always tell you what to do here, but making little notes on these is good because then guess what? Maybe you have to write a paper on this. Do you want to read through all this again? Heck no, right? You want to just go through this. And if we reviewed our annotations, we could get the main idea from this. Watch this. I think Joe should tell the truth to the store owner because stealing is wrong. However, he rolls over to his friend, right? Stitches get stitches, right? This could be our central idea here. How do we tell right from wrong? What is our central idea made up of, right? Talking about this Kohlberg guy, how he interviewed groups of boys, talked about what decisions they would make, and then continued to interview them for a long time. And he found that the research was more interesting based on the answers they chose, right? Why they chose those answers. He cared about their reasoning more. So Kohlberg cared about these boys' reasoning, and then he came up with these 6 stages of moral development, right? With 3 levels. Level 1, pre-conventional. Here at pre-conventional, they wonder if they'll get rewarded or punished by their actions. Pre-conventional is made up of 2 stages. In stage 1, people are only worried about getting punished. In stage 2, they're like, what's in it for me, right? Level 2 conventional is asking if the action is socially acceptable. Is this cool with my peers? And there are 2 more stages in conventional. In stage 3, people just want to be accepted and loved for doing the right thing. In stage 4, people want to do the right thing based on, what the laws say. Otherwise, things would be crazy. Now, we just took all this and we put it into these little notes. Could you take these little notes and very easily turn them into full-blown sentences and paragraphs and stuff like that? Yep. Which is why, whenever you're writing a paper, which you will be one day, right? Take good notes. If you take good notes, then you could come back and take your notes and put them on a document and make them your paper, and your paper writes itself. It's that easy. So, taking good annotations is good, boys and girls. It's very good to do. We are going to pause on this for today, however, because I realize that we are getting to that 20-minute mark. We're going to do the whole class reading tomorrow, where we're going to look at level 3 And in the meantime, maybe you could think a little bit about what level you're on. And of course, as always, this would be the time then to not worry about the activities here. Don't worry about those yet, right? We'll get to those. Take a look at some reading, right? Because as I said, this is a 1060 Legzile level. Some of us are above that. Some of us are right about that level. Some of us are a little bit below that. The best way of getting your Legzile level up is reading. So, without further ado, that is that for today. And we will continue this tomorrow.